WNBA expansion draft. And it's important that we continue to keep ourselves educated on what's happening in the WNBA as these ladies continue to make history with the league itself, but just monitoring the results or the impact that the new CBA is going to have, in addition to two new teams entering the chat. We have the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire. And so now the league has gone from 13 teams to 15 teams. And what does that mean? A redraft. And if you were on my show or you watched my show last episode, I talked about how the free agency, the WNBA free agency has made history. It's like the most women in the pool that it's like ever been, but it's not just about how many women, it's about the women that are there. We're talking about the biggest stars in the game. I went through a list of 30 athletes that are all unrestricted and all unprotected. That's the key point here. And so I'm just going to just educate you a little bit on, if you don't already know, about what to expect come April 3rd, because it's happening next week, the expansion. So again, it's a really big moment. The league officially announced that yesterday that the expansion is going to take place on April 3rd, and every current WNBA team has to submit a list of players. And guess what? They can only protect 5 of those players. And there's a lot of players on the free agency that are unprotected. And if you have to choose between 5, I can name 7 people on the LA Sparks right now that should not go. That I would be like, damn, it would be hard for me to decide who's on the chop block. And I want you to keep in mind, for the recent expansion of a team last year was the Golden State Valkyries. They have the most revenue generated in the league, and they finished 23 and like 22 or so. Like, they finished with a winning record, and they made playoffs in their inaugural season. And they had a fire coach. Not that sounded kind of crazy. They didn't fire their coach. The coach ended up being coach of the year. That's what I meant. In the inaugural season. So I'm not going to lie to you. I have high expectations for this expansion and what the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire is going to bring. Now, they did a coin toss to determine the draft order between these two teams. The Toronto and Portland will go through 2 rounds of selections, and they get 12 picks each, pulling from unprotected players across the league. Please go and look at my last episode, or at least look it up yourself and see the players that are unprotected. Notably, Asia Wilson, Stewart, Sabrina, Nafisa, Alicia Gray, unprotected. I mean, I just named 5 people. Like, they're not, guys, they're unprotected. Okay. And then they can only take 1 player per existing team, so no team is completely gutted, but at the same time, every team is as at risk of losing somebody important. And then we could talk about Toronto specifically. According to the ESPN projections, they're not picking random players. They're looking to build something competitive immediately. So that means they're gonna probably, if it was me trying to get highly competitive, I'm gonna grab me a vet from a team. I'm going to try to get a vet, and I'm going to get, obviously, a high-level role player. That's me. And I'm you know what? That free, oh my gosh. Can you imagine? Oh, I'm getting excited. But who won the coin toss? I totally dropped the ball on that one. I think the Toronto Tempo have 6 pick. Excuse me. The Tempo win the WNBA expansion coin toss, and they get to choose to draft 6. Okay. And then so Portland and Toronto will alternate their picks, and then they'll select from all 13 other teams. And by Sunday, so this Sunday, the teams have to submit the 5 protected players who will not be available for selection in the expansion draft. And then Toronto will have the number 6, 22, and the 36 in the standard draft. And Portland will have number 7, 21, and 37 in the selections. And the twin cost also grants the Tempo the first position on the waiver wire. The waiver wire that I was just referencing to be like the most talented, high level waiver wire we've seen in a very long time. And with these new teams that have so much money, I can imagine they're gonna have a little wiggle room because it's new investors. You know what I mean? Like they had to pay a $250 million entry fee into the league already. So any team, like I said, like the Golden State Valkyrie already had so much money. They have the most revenue generated. They have the most money to give out. Essentially, I would say the Tempo, and the Fire, they gonna have the same things. So these ladies that are on could have a more appeal to these contracts, assigned. They might. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? Because I don't even know what I'm trying to say right now. I'm so excited. I'm just thinking about this draft and what it's about to look like. Now, I made some predictions in the last episode, kind of just talking about whether or not the ladies themselves are gonna stay or leave. But the whole landscape of the WNBA is changing right before our eyes, and I want to keep reiterating that so that y'all get excited about the fact that we get to witness this. I'm gonna check the chat. No Houston Comets or Detroit Shock. Come on, they got rings. What's up, St. Philip near me? That is such an interesting name. Welcome to the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Okay, in reference to my Cleveland Cavaliers take, Sneeze said, I heard what you said and I understand your position. I just don't see the exact same things you do. We're living in two completely different realities, I see. Bruce said Hornets cannot beat the Knicks or Celtics or Cavs. No finals for Charlotte. Hashtag the Format Podcast. All right. Again, tune in April 3rd for that expansion draft, or tune into my podcast because I will be talking about it. So if you want to skip through all of that and just come here, do that. Make sure you subscribe, drop a like. Today's been a lot of fun. We went for about an hour, and so I appreciate everyone who stayed the entire time, drop comments and support. And I love seeing y'all love basketball just as much as I do. Again, basketball taught me how to love, so I made a channel about it. Let's wrap up today with let's set some intentions. I'm gonna say my intention for today is to watch the Hawks upset the Celtics. That was for you, Bruce. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But they do have Boston on a negative 4.5 spread. And notably, Jason Tatum is averaging 19.1 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, and 3.7 assists per game since his return. I would say for just playing a month, almost 2 months in, that's pretty solid. I like how the Celtics have been looking, but I also saw when Tatum said that he felt like he was looking a little rusty, and he feels like he's just a little rusty, which is hilarious to hear him say because like the first game back he had like over 20 points, right? What do you mean rusty? What are you talking about? Rusty. They started you, bro. As soon as you came back off of an Achilles injury. Top 3 team in the league. Talking about rusty. Top 2 team in the league. I apologize. In the East. Talking about rusty. Bro, you're good. Kawhi Leonard's averaging 28.3 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.8 assists. I think they're going to absolutely demolish the Pacers. Have you been watching the Pacers lately? I'm like genuinely sad for them. Like, why? Wait, hold on, because when they played who they played on Wednesday, they played the Lakers. And granted, the Lakers only won 137 to 130, but did you see all the open shots that Luka had? They weren't even rotating anymore. Like they were so chill on defense. It was so I could not watch it. I could not watch the Pacers. How many open shots did Luka have? The Pacers don't give a darn no more. They do not care. At least when the Pistons were down that bad in the overall season, I still felt like they were trying. Like the Wizards may suck, but they be trying. Like somehow I be thinking the Pacers don't even be trying. That's really disappointing. Y'all get paid all that money. That I think we should talk about that as tanking too. Not just organizations sitting these guys, but let's talk about the guys themselves and what they do. Like I understand how it can be an investment, but this is your job. Why is it that it seems like they want to make excuses for not showing up to work? And I know that the anti-tanking policy is going to be voted on, and they've come up with 3 new policies. I'm going to hold off on talking about that today. For one, I didn't digest it yet, consume it. Like I got to really sit with it because I was reading it and my mind was mush at the time. So I'm going to revisit that probably in the next episode. But everything has to do with the draft and nothing to do with correcting the behaviors of the players. And I'm not sure if the incentives need to increase because getting paid all of this millions of dollars should be incentive enough, but I guess not. I guess it's not incentive enough for these men because they still continue to operate in these behaviors. And I guess that's what frustrates me about Draymond. Because how can you say you love and you hate something with a guy who's brought nothing but competition to the league, and not just the competition in his actions, but in his spirit? I would say Wemby is probably one of the only reasons the All-Star game was good this year. Aside from the formatting, like the formatting was cool, but I think he brought this level, like he was pissed off. To see Wemby cry after the game means so much to me because I don't think there's as many guys I want to see more guys in the league like Wemby after winning and coming back and just working so hard and wanting to win and have that spirit than I see right now. Breaking news: Connecticut Sun being sold for $300 million. Hold on. Breaking news. You're hearing it here first. Because we were covering this in my episode a while back, like last year, talking about the Connecticut Sun was rumored to be sold, and then the senator, like some federal laws, interceded on that because it was where the WNBA was having a say in whether or not where the Suns could sell the property, but they also had a stake in buying the Connecticut Suns, essentially. Like they were trying to have a say in whether they were trying to block the sale so that it can lean in favor of where they wanted the actual team to go. So there was like a conflict of interest, and so the federal government stepped in and was like, hold on, WNBA, we got to regulate your actions right now. So to see that they got sold is crazy. Hold on, let me just WNBA. Okay, I'm reading this article firsthand. Sun sold to the Fertitta family, and it will relocate to Houston. Oh, Houston is lit, bro. Aside from the Rockets. I'm just kidding. But to get a WNBA team in Houston, first of all, I'm so sorry to Connecticut. I'm so sorry. Because I feel like Connecticut is the type of market that has like that's all they have. You know, Connecticut used to not even have Chick-fil-A. Like I had a roommate in college. She was also my teammate my freshman year, and she was from Connecticut. Shout out to Joyce. And Shorty, I was like, yo, you want to go to Chick-fil-A? She was like, what is that? I said, oh my God, are you okay? And she said, they don't have Chick-fil-A in Connecticut. I said, oh. So, I popped her Chick-fil-A cherry. And I think they might have them now. I don't know. I don't go to Connecticut. You feel what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is it just seems like that's like a town and a market that you have fans that probably a lot of season ticket holders, and that's all they have to live for real. Is their sports because they don't got nothing else going on. So to see so much money getting taken out of that town and going to a more, I guess, popular market, it's business, at the end of the day. But that does suck. But I'm excited because Damn, man, the team was sold for $300 million, and it was a record-breaking purchase of a WNBA team. The team will play one final season in Connecticut this year, and then they're going to relocate in 2027. An official announcement is expected Monday. Sources said that the franchise is expected to use the Comets name, harking back to the Houston Comets, who are part of the league. Mind you, the Houston Comets was like the best team in the league when it first started. They had Tina Thompson and oh my gosh, Cheryl Swoops. Yeah. Because Cheryl was she was the league MVP 2 years in a row. And Tina Thompson was the first player ever drafted to the league, and it was to the Houston Comets team. Hold on. Make sure. Mind you, this happened when I was born. Like, the WNBA was created November 1996, and the first season kicked off in 97. So the league is the same age as me. And I didn't even know a WNBA existed until I was like 6 years old, which is crazy to think about and say. Because it just wasn't advertised as much. People didn't really, it wasn't like they didn't care, but you know. Cynthia Cooper was on the Houston Comets, and she was the first WNBA MVP. And then Tina Thompson was on that team as well. Crazy to think about. But yeah, that's what I'm excited about. It's like nostalgia. It's full circle. So it's cool to see that the team's gonna be moved back to Houston. And let me see. It says Kathy Engelbert specifically highlighted the city of Houston, and the Houston Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta is up next, and the one we have our eye on. Now, when you read that, I want us to pause for a second, because I think a lot of people don't think about this, but the WNBA is pretty much owned by everybody in the NBA. Okay, so when all these decisions are being made about women's lives, it's really in the hands of the NBA. And so it sometimes frustrates me in the fact that Kathy Engelbert is a puppet to all these puppet masters. I want us to keep that in mind. I'm not trying to get Kathy off the hook, but I think she gets put under a lot of scrutiny. But we got to turn our attention to these owners more so as well than just Kathy, because I guess she's like the leader, and she's the commissioner, she's the spokesperson, you know, she's the CEO of the company. But we forget that there's a board and that the board of directors can vote to fire the CEO. So what does that mean? That means they have more power than the CEO. So keep in mind, all these NBA, WNBA stuff that's happening is in between the owners. A lot of the owners are already NBA teams. Also, what I noticed is a lot of the coaches are like assistant coaches from the NBA. So that pisses me off, because we have a lot of men coaches. There's more men coaches in the league than there are women coaches in the league. Also, there are no black women coaches in the WNBA currently. That really pisses me off too. I'm not gonna lie. Like, if we have this is an opportunity for women to be coaches. And I'm not saying there's like a gender bias and like men can't coach women, but the point I'm trying to make is, let's continue to make history. Let's continue to give more opportunities here. But because the WNBA is pretty much owned by the NBA, like, keep that in mind when we are making our accusations and we're getting upset with the league. I don't think we're really pointing our anger towards the right people. All right. Bruce said, don't do that, Bree. If not for the NBA, we have no WNBA. This is the only company in America that could last for 28 years without turning a profit. My main point was just to remind people about ownership and the decisions that are being made, because we see how the NBA, the product of basketball in the NBA, has gone down the toilet, right? So what does the media do? They reach for any possible narrative. They highlight certain things that they see as momentum get driven, and they create these rules that sometimes devastate the actual state of basketball. That's the NBA. So the fact that people that own that league now also own the WNBA, we appreciate that, but them, having a say in have not turning a profit into 30 years. By the way, it takes a long time for that type of leagues to turn real profits. As you know, the NBA's been around 2 times, 3 times longer than that. The WNBA is one of the newest leagues in the world. And so I think, with all that being said, the WNBA and the direction that it's headed, do you notice that a lot of people tune in when it comes to controversy in general, right? But having women in controversy versus having the men in controversy is just two completely different things. It's not the same. And so it is very concerning to me that the NBA has such a hand in the WNBA for more reasons than just keeping the teams afloat with the profits and stuff like that, because we can argue it's the ladies that keep it afloat. But I and that's what the whole controversy was regarding the contracts in the CBA. So I really, really hope that we can continue heading in a direction with the WNBA. All the mistakes that the NBA has made over the years and the behaviors of the players that have gone downhill, I hope and pray that the culture stays strong in the WNBA. And it's important for people like Kathy, who are in those positions, to continue to advocate for that side of it. Keep the game pure in the WNBA. That's what I'm saying. If the NBA, the game has been tainted, guys, they have to create freaking policies to prevent tanking. That is a tainted system. And now they also have a huge say in what happens to the WNBA. I hope and pray it does not turn into that, and that it stays pure. So that's where I'm coming from with that one. But I appreciate everyone tuning in. What's up, Coach? Coach Duncan is the head coach for Dundalk varsity girls basketball. Shout out to Baltimore County. Shout out to Baltimore. You see what I'm saying? Welcome to the chat. Glad that you are here. Oh, and also yesterday was Orioles opening day. Baltimore downtown was so lit, and I was not there. When it's lit like that outside, it was beautiful and lit. Everybody was drunk. I stay inside. But I hope I live vicariously through all the stories on Instagram that I saw. I hope everyone had fun and stayed safe. But yeah. Well, it's been a great show. This is the longest I've gone in a while. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I'm on the road to 800 subscribers. If you haven't already, drop a subscribe if you enjoyed the content and the conversations that were had, and stay tuned for more episodes. Smash the like button, comment, and share with your friends. Let's talk basketball. And if you know bull, you know ball. All right, y'all. Till next time.